All right, ladies and gentlemen, here it is, my 5,000 subscriber special. I wanted to do this a little while back. It's been some time since I reached 5,000 subscribers, but I still wanted to thank each and every one of you guys. And so I've wanted to do a top 11 Dragon Quest games video for a very long time, but I didn't want to do it until I had a certain amount of following. I didn't want to make the video and then nobody kind of sees it, you know what I mean? I'm going to be ranking all 11 mainline Dragon Quest games. Yes, even Dragon Quest X, in fact, especially Dragon Quest X, because everybody forgets about it or just throws it off the list. But let me tell you, it's a great freaking game. I also have a guide right here on my channel on how to play Dragon Quest X in English for free, okay? But we'll get to the details of Dragon Quest X itself once we get to it on the list. But yeah, this is all the Dragon Quest mainline games ranked from worst to best. If you guys enjoy Dragon Quest and other JRPG content, as well as top 10 videos, reviews, and podcasts, please remember to like, subscribe, and turn notifications to all so you don't miss the next video. You can also hype the video, which helps out so much. Now let's begin. All right, so way back at number 11 as the worst mainline Dragon Quest game, I gotta go with Dragon Quest VI. I feel like most people would agree with me here. There are a lot of people actually online lately that I've seen that are huge Dragon Quest VI fans, so that's pretty sweet. But Dragon Quest VI to me was very kind of confusing. It was very frustrating to play personally. And the main reason for this is you've got two almost completely identical world maps that you're exploring. You've got the dream world and you've got the quote-unquote real world, and they're basically a duplicate of each other but with subtle differences. Half the time I don't even know which world I'm in. Another thing this game is terrible for is giving you any sense of direction. There's just a lack of instructions at pretty much all times, especially once you reach a certain point in the game. You really have no idea where to go. And I do like how in like Dragon Quest 3, Dragon Quest 4, like a lot of the Dragon Quest games, once you get access to the ship, the world is your oyster. It's up to you to explore and figure out what to do and when to do it. But I feel like with the two worlds and how almost identical they are, having no sense of direction is really tough. Another big issue with this is once you do finally figure out where the heck you're supposed to be going next, you don't know if you need to be going there in the dream world or the real world. So my biggest issue with this game are the two worlds being so dang similar, and I also don't really like most of the characters in this game. Dragon Quest to me is known for having some of the best characters of all time, and the characters to me pretty much make most of the Dragon Quest games for me. I love Terry, and his story is incredible. He's basically a more protagonistic version of Sorrow, who's one of my favorite characters of all time from Dragon Quest IV. But the rest of the cast is just kind of lame. I'm legally obligated to like Carver because the guy's Canadian, as we learned in Dragon Quest Heroes 2, but I just don't really have any strong feelings towards any of these other characters. Like even Millie, who is Terry's sister, who is kind of the driving force of what made Terry who he is, I really just don't even really care about her all that much. Dragon Quest VI, not a bad game by any means, but the weakest of the Dragon Quest series in my opinion. Alright, so these next 6 were really hard for me to rank. They're kind of just in the middle ground for me. I love all of these games. By the way, I love every Dragon Quest game, so it's not that any of these next ones are bad. It was just really hard for me to rank them because I have like my top 4 is pretty much set in stone and my bottom 1 is pretty much set in stone, but the rest of these could be in any order most of the time. But I decided to go with Dragon Quest 3.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Yes, I know. A lot of people, this is their favorite game of all time, but Dragon Quest 3 is fairly bare bones. I understand it was originally an NES game, and by the way, for the ranking of this video, I'm going with the best version of each game, okay? So we're talking about Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D Remake. And yeah, Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D Remake was freaking incredible. I absolutely loved it. But when you compare it to other entries of the series, it's just not as good in my opinion. I do love the big twist about 3/4 of the way through the game or 2/3 of the way through the game once you fight Baramos. I love the vocation system. I just feel like it's been done better in later entries of the series. In fact, the only game I feel like that did this worse was probably Dragon Quest VI. But again, it's really fun to change vocations because you do start at level 1 with half your stats of what you had before, and I think that's a really cool feature. It allows you to min-max the hell out of all your characters if you really want to do that. The story's decent, it's nothing to write home about, but the worlds of Dragon Quest III are really, really fun to explore. I just like these next ones more, okay? This is the story of what we knew at the time as the original Erdrick, so it was pretty cool getting to the end of Dragon Quest III back in the day, and then seeing to be continued in Dragon Quest I. Absolutely love that. I love the relationship between the hero and his parents, and how he's kind of on the trail of his father's footsteps, trying to figure out what happened to Ortega, and where Ortega has been, and how to kind of avenge Ortega, and then you eventually meet Ortega, and it's just done so good. But yeah, sitting here at number 10 is Dragon Quest III. Let me know what your favorite Dragon Quest games are down in the comments. I can't wait for us all to share our thoughts and discuss why we love the games we love. All right, very similar to Dragon Quest III, but slightly better in my opinion, is Dragon Quest IX. So Dragon Quest IX is very similar to Dragon Quest III in that you pretty much create your entire party. There are a ton of vocations, way more than Dragon Quest III had to offer. The way they do the skill trees that they kind of carried forward from Dragon Quest VIII, and leveling up those skill trees kind of carry across into the other job classes. Your stat gains for the bottom skill tree in each job class carries to the next one. The story was pretty damn good in Dragon Quest IX as well, about like a fallen angel, and you kind of understand where he's coming from as well. Like, Corvus just had a terrible life at no fault of his own. He's just one of those classic Dragon Quest characters that I can kind of understand and kind of relate to why they went down the path they did. The Giddish Empire is absolutely iconic, along with its generals and villains. I just felt like Dragon Quest IX was really well done. One of the most fun co-op JRPGs of all time to play. But I do feel that compared to the other games in the series, it's just not quite as good. Like I said, the story's great, but there are better stories in the series. With there being essentially no characters, like I said before, characters kind of make the Dragon Quest games for me, and there's really not many characters in this game. You could argue Aaron is probably the strongest character in the game. I like Aaron, but I mean, there's not much else really going on character-wise. The stories are really good. Kind of taking a page out of like Dragon Quest VII, how it's kind of got those individual great stories and great storytelling. It's just the lack of characters, and the story could have been a little bit better, I feel, compared to the others. But yeah, Dragon Quest IX sits here at number 9. At number 8, I kind of hate to put this here because they did such an amazing job of it, but I went with Dragon Quest II HD 2D Remake. Like, I am definitely a little biased to another entry on this list, which is why Dragon Quest II HD 2D Remake is right here when it could have been probably in the next slot, but we'll get to there when we get to there. Dragon Quest II is really well done. The story of the cousins, the way they like all come together, the way that they feel like they're kind of thrown to the wolves. They're not really prepared for this journey they're on. They're kind of in that fake it till you make it situation, and then eventually they get to that point where they're like, no, we are the Scions of Erdrick. We can handle this.
Yes, I can win. I feel great. I can do this.
I feel like the world of Dragon Quest II is really well done. The interactions with the different like countries and towns, and how you end up like saving people at the last minute. I just thought it was really well done. The backstory of Hargon's minions is really well told. The exploration in this game is on par with pretty much the best the series has to offer. Like I've been saying, I just like these next entries a little bit more. I do like how the HD2 remake did give some character to the Prince of Canic, the Princess of Moonbrook, how it actually allowed the Princess of Canic to join the party. You kind of got to know all the royal families as well, and you felt absolutely terrible for the Princess of Moonbrook because of the loss of her family at the beginning of the game. There's so much character growth in this game. They did an amazing, amazing job of the HD2D remake, and that is why it's here at number 8. All right, I'm gonna take a lot of shit for this one. At number 7 is Dragon Quest V. A lot of people see this as their favorite Dragon Quest game, and to me, I don't have kids. I've never wanted kids. I'm not the closest with my family. For me, my family has always been my friends, so I just don't get the same feelings from this game as most of the people who really enjoy Dragon Quest V. I don't dislike Dragon Quest V, it just doesn't really do all that much for me. I love the monster taming aspect. This was the first and probably best iteration of that. Dragon Quest VI, again, I hate to harp on Dragon Quest VI all the time, but the monster taming in Dragon Quest VI was just awful. Especially coming from 5 into 6, it was just so disappointing. Dragon Quest V was the story of life, essentially, right? You start off as a kid, protected by your father, journeying around the world. Shit goes down, bad things happen. You end up growing up as a slave in a work camp. You finally escape, and you end up meeting the love of your life. You settle down, get married, and then shit goes down again, and it's up to your kids, actually, to rescue you. So Dragon Quest V is a really good story with a lot of kind of heart-wrenching moments. A lot of people do consider this to be the darkest Dragon Quest game. I would say Dragon Quest VII probably is a little bit darker, but the storytelling in this is really good, and I feel like this is one of the few Dragon Quest games where the story was almost always centered around the main character. Whereas most of the Dragon Quest games, the story is centered around each individual town. You still have those individual town stories, but I really feel like with Dragon Quest V, it's probably the one that focuses on the main character the most. Anyways, yeah, I love Dragon Quest V, but I just don't love it quite as much as some of these other entries. All right, at number 6, I've got Dragon Quest I. Yes, this is the one I'm super biased for. I'd like to apologize, but I'm not gonna.
I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
I love Dragon Quest I so much, and the HD 2D remake is just a freaking masterpiece, dude. There's no way they can make Dragon Quest I any better than they did. It was just absolutely perfect in my opinion. Dragon Quest I is the game that got me into JRPGs. It was the first JRPG I ever played. It was the first Dragon Quest game I ever played. If not for Dragon Quest I would not have played Dragon Quest IV, and I would not be the person I am today, okay? Dragon Quest I is the story of a lone hero banding against the forces of evil, protecting as many people as he can, but not always being able to be there all the time. And I feel like they absolutely mastered that in the HD 2D remake. And I just love Princess Gwaelin. I love the Dragon Lord. I love the Green Dragon. I just love so much. I love the world of Tantagel. I love Alefgard. I love everything about Dragon Quest I, okay? Obviously, there's better games in this series, but Dragon Quest I will always have a very special place in my heart, and I just love this game so damn much, man. And that's why it's here at number 6. All right, I'm probably gonna get shit on for this one too, but Dragon Quest VIII is my number 5 favorite Dragon Quest game. This was the game where I feel like it was fully realized what the developers were wanting to do since the beginning. You have this fully realized 3D world and that sense of exploration that has always been there in the Dragon Quest series right from Dragon Quest I. That's one of the things that made me fall in love with this series, was that sense of exploration that you had right from the beginning, all right? It's that drive to explore more of the world, while Dragon Quest VIII has this in droves, and it just feels like you have the wide open world at your disposal. It feels so good to explore in this game, and it's probably the most explorable world as well. Like, there's different planes of height that you can kind of like go to in this world. There's like plateaus, there's valleys, there's the mainland. You get to go to the world of darkness for a little bit, and the way it connects to some of the classics as well. I just felt like a lot of the storytelling in Dragon Quest VIII was absolutely perfect too. This is a game that tells an amazing story with an amazing cast of characters. I know, like, Angelo, I'm not the biggest Angelo fan, but Yangus is phenomenal. Yangus is one of the best Dragon Quest, nay, best characters of all time, okay? And then for the Gooners, the Coomers, we've got Jessica.
Boner alert.
She is an incredibly powerful mage who went through heartbreak and then gets used by the main villain. I love the story of the hero in this. I feel like they did a really good job of making the hero go from just another guy to very special by the end of the game. Yangus is your die-hard best friend that'll do anything for you, and I love him so much for that. The biggest detractor, I would say, of Dragon Quest VIII is the horse princess and King Trode. I absolutely hate them so much. Princess Medea makes a better horse than she does a princess. Let's just say that, okay? Dragon Quest VIII is an absolutely amazing game, and that's why it's here at number 5 on the list. All right, now we're getting down to some of my favorite games of all time. Like, all these games would be in probably my top 7 or 10 games ever, okay? Starting with Dragon Quest VII. I played this originally back on the PS1, instantly fell in love. This was one of the games that just touched me.
Pause.
This was one of the games that just hit me in the feels over and over again. A lot of people consider Dragon Quest V to be the darkest. I feel like those people haven't maybe played all the way through Dragon Quest VII before, because Dragon Quest VII has some absolutely heart-wrenching stories, and they're told so well. One of the downsides, I guess, of Dragon Quest VII is they don't have the greatest main cast of characters, okay? I didn't feel the same way about the main cast of Dragon Quest VII as I did of Dragon Quest VIII, for example, Dragon Quest II, or some of these other ones that I'll be talking about in a minute, okay? Not the strongest cast of characters here, but the characters that you encounter on your journeys are so awesome. Their stories are so gripping. You're gonna just continuously want to keep playing this game to experience more stories, save more countries, and meet more people. Dragon Quest VII has some of the greatest stories ever told. The vocation system is spot on. I'm making this video before playing through Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, but with Reimagined now, you can have 2 vocations at any time, which just makes it even better because the vocation system in Dragon Quest VII is absolutely amazing. One of the best job class systems of all time, in my opinion. So it's super awesome that they added that to the game. The story of Dragon Quest VII is just so damn good that even not having the strongest cast of characters or the most likable cast of characters, it still stands as my 4th favorite Dragon Quest of all time. The exploration in Dragon Quest VII is bar none because you're constantly adding to the world, saving new worlds. You just want to see everything that that land has become since you've been there last. I just love pretty much everything about Dragon Quest VII. All right, now 3rd on my list is Dragon Quest X. I wasn't sure if I was going to allow all the versions I've played to count as Dragon Quest X or just vanilla, like original Dragon Quest X as it was at launch. I feel like if I did Dragon Quest X at launch, it would rank definitely below like something like Dragon Quest VIII, but it would still be up there. But I feel like I'd be lying to myself and to you guys if I didn't include all of what Dragon Quest X is today, or at least what I've played of it. Currently, I'm about halfway through version 6. So for those of you wondering, each version is essentially a full-length Dragon Quest game. Dragon Quest X is always a Dragon Quest game first, and an MMORPG a distant second, okay? It's always focused on the stories and the characters, and the combat is turn-based, but there are those MMO things if you want to do them. I like to think of Dragon Quest IX as like a prototype to Dragon Quest X, so that should give you an idea of how similar they are in terms of being able to play through them co-op, except this time you don't have to be in the same room to play together. Not only that, if your friend is not online and you want to play with his character in your party, you can do that. You rent him from the bar and he joins your party, and then the next time he logs in, he gets all the experience in gold that he would have got while he was in your party, okay? The story is so well told. There's so many great stories here. Right now, the trial has been expanded. You can play all of Dragon Quest X version 1 through 3 and then most of version 4. Version 3 was absolutely incredible. Version 4 is a lot of people's favorite version as well. To me, version 5 was what put this up here as my third Dragon Quest game of all time. I don't want to spoil anything because I feel like most people watching this video have not played Dragon Quest X, but let me tell you, it is absolutely incredible. Imagine Dragon Quest IX, but with more job classes available to you, more customization, and way better storytelling. There's so many great stories in this game, and I just feel like everyone should experience it. Like I said at the beginning, I do have a guide on how to play Dragon Quest X in English for free now. The only caveat being if you live outside of Japan or the United States, you're going to need a VPN. But if you're in Japan or the USA, you don't need a VPN. Either way, totally freaking worth it. You guys should all experience it if you're a Dragon Quest fan. It is so incredibly good. I love the characters so much too. I even have plushies of them, god damn it. We've got our boy Kiruru. We've got Dustin right here. All right. We got my boy Crispy, the ham sandwich. He is my main healer in my party. He is not a character in the game, by the way. He's just my monster that I recruited. Oh yeah, there's at least 2 Monster Scout vocations you can play as well. So you can play this game pretty much however you want with all the different vocations. You could be a monster tamer and play through it like it's a Dragon Quest Monsters game if you really want. The possibilities are endless, the stories are amazing, and I can't say enough good things about Dragon Quest X. Next up at number 2 is a game that was like my favorite game for most of my life actually, and that is Dragon Quest IV. I mentioned when I was talking about Dragon Quest 1 how if not for Dragon Quest 1 I never would have played Dragon Quest 4, and if I never would have played Dragon Quest 4 I wouldn't be the person I am today. Dragon Quest 4 was that first game for me that changed video games from, oh, let's just sit down and play a game for a couple minutes, to, oh my god, these games are art. Games can tell amazing stories. It's also the first game that I would wake up early in the morning before school to play, and while at school, all I could think about was getting home and playing more Dragon Warrior 4 on the NES. I just was obsessed with this game, thinking about it and wanting to play it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as a kid. And it's still probably the one I come back to the most. Either this or Dragon Quest 1. I've played through those games so many freaking times. Dragon Quest 4 has one of, if not the best cast of characters. Alina and Torniko Taloon are 2 of my favorite characters of all time. Definitely like top 3 characters ever out of any game or anything ever for me. And then you got Sorrow thrown into the mix. His story is so amazing and so well told. And he's one of those villains that you can just resonate with. You can see where he's coming from. He needs to have more power to protect the ones he loves, but he ends up kind of going off the edge, getting too much power, losing control, and it's up to the hero and the chosen to put a stop to him. I just love the world of Dragon Quest IV. I love exploring it. I love Zenithia. I love how much they talk up the hero and how amazing the hero in Dragon Quest IV is. The hero in Dragon Quest IV is my favorite hero in the entire franchise. He's just so well done. His design is absolute peak. The way that Sorrow does to the hero what Sorrow fears most happening to himself is just poetic in my opinion. I love Dragon Quest IV so damn much. And then you've got like the DS remake where in the 6th chapter, Sorrow joins your party. It's just, oh my god, I can't say enough good things about Dragon Quest IV.
I like it a lot.
Best cast of characters, best hero, best villain. Check out Dragon Quest IV if you haven't played it yet. I have a versus series where I take each Dragon Quest game and pit them up against each Final Fantasy game. Check out my Dragon Quest IV versus Final Fantasy IV video, because if you want to know more details as to why I love Dragon Quest IV so much, that's where you're going to find it. By the way, guys, if you're this far into the video and you're enjoying it, please remember to like, subscribe, turn notifications to all so you don't miss the next video. Hype if you haven't yet on mobile. All right, let's keep going. Let's get to my number 1 Dragon Quest game of all time. All right, obviously by process of elimination, you know it's here. Dragon Quest XI is the greatest Dragon Quest game of all time. Heck, I would argue it's the greatest game of all time. I absolutely love this game so much. Just like Dragon Quest IV, it has one of the best casts of characters of all time. You've got Eric, you've got Sylvando, you've got Jade. It's just, you got Rab, okay? The only character I'm not too keen on are the sisters, but a lot of people love them as well. I just love this game so much. One of the best stories ever told. I love that there's like that twist that it kind of relates to previous games once you get later into it, and it's just, oh my god, I love everything about this. This is kind of the connecting point of the entire series and is really the pinnacle of the franchise, in my opinion. It's got one of the best worlds in video game history in terms of exploration and lore, especially when you get to the third act. The lore in this game is insane. I just love everything about this game. I like the way you learn your abilities. It's got kind of almost like the sphere grid crossed with like a skill tree. To me, this is just the perfect game. I don't give any game a 10 out of 10, but this game would be like a 9.9 out of 10. It's just that freaking good. The weakest point is probably, honestly, the hero. I don't like his character design at all, but as a person, he is absolutely amazing. I love the love that Jade has for him to protect him. I love the friendship that Eric has with him. Eric is kind of that ride or die character that Yangus was back in Dragon Quest VIII, except I just like Eric even more. I feel like Eric meets you on this journey and you guys just become bros. You are absolutely inseparable, and when you do separate for a little while, he's just so overjoyed to have you back in his life once you get back together. And then you've got Sylvando, one of the greatest characters of all time. There's that whole twist of why he kind of left the family night business. He's also a complete freaking badass, okay? One of the best fighters in the game, and he's also a really good healer. He is an enigma, okay? Sylvando is one of the greatest characters of all time. He's so damn good. I love Dragon Quest XI more than any game in the world. It's the greatest game of all time. If you haven't played it, go and play it, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, again, please remember to like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Check out some other videos on the YouTube channel. I got a ton of Dragon Quest content here. Hype the video if you haven't yet. It helps out a ton. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for getting me to 5,000 subscribers. You guys are the freaking best. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.